Hey everybody. I thought we'd take this opportunity to show you around one of our favorite Oregon state parks thus far, called Cape Blanco State Park. And it's just north of Port Orford, Oregon. So this video is going to be snippets about me talking, but mostly a lot of cool pictures and scenery. So stay tuned. So our particular campsite is tucked into some bushes. I think they're mostly blackberry bushes and huckleberries, etc. Lots of ferns. So we have a lot of privacy. We can't really see our neighbors, and naturally, it's sort of sort of a dog leg. So you have sort of a space in the back where your picnic table is and your fire ring. And we do most of our cooking in the back of the turtle anyway, so it all works out privacy-wise. Now, I will warn you, there's a lot of wind here, so some of the audio in this can be annoying. Not a lot of it, but some. So we're going to take a look at some of the beaches and the Lighthouse and some of the overlooks and things like that. The Oregon state parks, and maybe state parks in general, they do cater to people that travel on bicycles. So if you're going to bicycle long distances and you want a place to stay at the end of the day, they do have portions of the state park just geared for hikers and bikers. Now, I didn't see this before, but I'm going to show you just some of the attributes of a typical camp area for bikes and hikers. First, they got this locker set up here. It's a little shelter. You got some lockers to put your stuff in. You can lock it if you have a lock. Then over here, what I thought was pretty cool is this. It's basically a bike work center. Let me show it to you. It's got all of these tools on cables, so if there's anything you need to do to your bike, you have probably the right tool here. Anything from wrenches to screwdrivers, etc. in there. Then on the side, they have a pretty nifty bike pump and a place to hang your bike to work on it, and of course the picnic table and firing and stuff like that. So you have your tent, you have a nice little area to just park, lock up your bike, work on it if you need to, and still be able to enjoy the park. I mean, you're pretty close to everybody else, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty isolated and quiet back here. Like a lot of state parks that we've seen across the country, there is what's called a horse camp. And a horse camp is dedicated portion of the state park for people that want to bring their horses when they come to camp. It's a little bit more primitive than, say, the normal RV section of the park, where you don't normally see like electric hookups or a sewage option, etc. But they usually have water, and there's usually corrals here for your horse, so you just offload your horse. In every campsite situated around here has its own corral for at least 2 horses, and they have a common tie-up area too, but picnic tables, fire rings, things like that. But it's generally quieter here, not as many people, but you do hear generators occasionally back here if somebody comes in and stays 3 or 4 days and they don't have solar. So I just thought I'd show you that aspect of the park, which is pretty cool. And horse camp, usually referred to as the equestrian camp, horse camp, or whatever. And then they have, usually if there is a horse camp, you have a lot of trails to take your horse on. And 9 out of 10 times, if not all the time, those trails are about 5 times as long as just regular hiking trails within the park. I happen to be on one of those trails today, and for the first time, didn't come down here the first time we were here, so this is all new to me, and you're seeing it too. So I come down this trail, and I'm heading to the ocean, and I don't know if you can see it or not. I'm going to try to flip around here. So this is how this trail ends up. The trail ends up at a little bluff overlooking the ocean, as you can see behind me. There's a little picnic table there and a bar to tie your horses up. How cool is that? Come on, we'll go down and look at it together. Here you have it. That's where the trail comes out. Here's your picnic table, place to tie up your horse, and look at this amazing view. This is what you see just standing not too far away from the picnic table. You get a beautiful view of the beach down below, the Pacific. There's this sun shining off the weather, and then that's to the south. And it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous view. And I'd have to say, we're literally, 400, 200 feet above maybe the beach. And give you some idea of the scale here. This is what I can see down below. Let's see if I can find them through the viewfinder. Gives you kind of an idea how high we are. So pretty cool. I mean, and there aren't that many people on the beach. There's probably those people, and there's another person farther up with their dog, and that's up towards Port Orford. So just a glorious view. It's a great day here in October. And we'll head on down the trail and show you some more. I'm on a bluff that sort of overlooks the ocean, again on one of these trails here. From this part of the park, which is sort of the northern end of the park, I get a good view of the lighthouse and the ocean all the way to the south, and of course as far as I can see the lighthouse to the north. But I can get above the lighthouse and see further to the north, and we'll do that in a little bit. But it's a beautiful day out here. I mean, the ocean is just running pretty rampant, and there doesn't seem to be too many clouds in the sky, which for this time of the year in October, that's kind of a rarity because it is the rainy season. But we're going to take advantage of it today. Being clear. It's pretty windy today, and the wind is really coming out of the north, pretty strong. The cool thing about this particular park is that the peninsula where the lighthouse is actually sticks out to the extent to where you actually have a southern exposure on one of the sides of the peninsula, so you can see to the south more or less, and it protects you from the wind. So I was just up above trying to get you some footage of what it looks like from the lighthouse north. We're on this little trail here that kind of leads down to the ocean from the lighthouse visitors parking lot area. It's the lower parking lot area. We're going to hook up with the beach, follow the beach south, and show you some sights down there. So stick around. Now we're on the northern beach, but still south of the lighthouse. We just came down that hill behind me, and you kind of have to be careful when you come down that there's some of these places that are pretty ledgy, so you can't necessarily get down from them. You sort of just have to look for the most used animal trail that'll get you to the beach without too much trouble. And the wind is still comes over the top and swoops down the south side of this peninsula. It's still pretty windy, but it's at least you can hear the ocean more than you can hear the wind right now. So I'm just going to take some footage of the beach, and so you can just sit back and relax. heading up to the Lighthouse. Sorry for the wind.
Switch on and off. It was clockwork gears and a couple of chains, but they would pull the chains, and for 4 hours before they had to pull the chains again. So they're watching the flame here, they're watching the ship. Now if that ship became stationary, there were 3 situations developing: was this supplies being delivered, an inspector showing up, or a shipwreck. And depending on the situation, one of the 2 light keepers working at night would go out there and ascertain what the situation was. They're not going to endanger themselves going out in a rowboat in a dinghy to go out there and rescue dead people. There's 270 prisms on this lens. Inside the diameter is about 5 foot. You'll see there's 2 bulbs in there. There's one that's really bright. It's a 1,002-inch halogen bulb. The other bulb that you see in there in front of it is a backup bulb.
How often do they replace it?
1,001. Imagine lines every square inch of the glass, terminating the opposite end at a bullseye on the opposite panel.
So it focuses at what this
It redirects, refracts the light to the focal point.
Do you know how far is the focal point?
This goes out 26 miles.
So 26 miles is where
I don't know if it does that or if it's how.
I assume it will be.
But if you look out there 26 miles, that's the curvature of the Earth. You go 27 miles, you've fallen off. So that's how this works. Now, if you're in an airplane,
Is the
plane that we're on at 250 feet, yes. Unless you're in an airplane. If you're in an airplane above that plane, you
So
actually...
you're shooting the right in the next position. You're changing.
I just thought, I'm like, well, maybe that would have been cool for us for 1 month.
Yeah, to do the host
we
there.
didn't leave Brooklyn.
Yeah. The Oregon Coast Trail, which is a trail that runs the entire length of the Oregon coast, runs through a lot of these state parks that are on the coast, which is kind of cool because they almost situate them and space them so that you could almost camp in a state park almost, very frequently while you're on it. And I often wonder if somebody ever wanted to do, like for the first time, a long hike, like a long through hike, like the Appalachian Trail or the Pacific Rim Trail, that maybe they ought to take a trail like this first, sort of as to get their feet wet, and there's always sort of like a backup plan along the way. And we'll show you some of the trail aspects of it, but generally speaking, the trail, as far as the Oregon Coast Trail is concerned, is usually in very good shape. It runs generally pretty close to the ocean. You can definitely hear the ocean. And there are times where they're just, like I said, it just pops out into a state park that's usually hiker and biker friendly. So something pretty cool about the aspect of how they've designed it. trying to shield the mic here so you just get the view, is not the wind.
Did we get to steps today so far?